Welcome, everybody. If you are here, if you're new to me, my name is Carrie Koss. I'm a medium and a mentor. And here on YouTube, I do tarot readings. I work with the Akashic Records. Thank you for coming. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Just getting started. I was just doing a quick introduction. So nice to see you. We're going to get started in just a second. And as mentioned here in the title, this is going to be a little mini class on how to connect with your spirit guides. Welcome. And I'll definitely be looking at your questions and your comments throughout the live stream. So please know that. But I'm going to just go ahead and get started and welcome all of you to being here today on my channel. I am so excited about this topic. This topic actually is something that my subscribers requested. And I just want to say, if you're new to my page, thank you for being here. But also know that I post regularly for interacting with all of you in the comments of the community section on my page. And I will say, so what topics would you like me to teach on? Now, on my page, I do regular readings twice a week that I upload for everyone. And we'll talk a tiny bit about that in a minute. And then I also do education. And so I do all those things. And then I also do one guided meditation that I upload every week. But in the community section, you can really let me know, what are you interested? What topics in the range of things, what topics in the range of things that I would teach are you interested in? I really want to be able to provide you with great content, things that will help you grow, develop, support you, nurture you, and also work on a level of healing for you. So please feel free to connect and interact and share this. I appreciate you so much for being here and very excited. So let me get started. And I'm so happy you're all here. So the topic that everybody voted on in the community was how to connect with your spirit guides in 10 minutes a day. And for me, this is really the backbone of a lot of the work I do is spirit communication. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why I feel that's so helpful and important. I'm going to talk about who we are as spiritual beings on our spiritual path and how much guides can help us on our journey for healing, deepening our relationship with our own soul and our intuition, but also to make it really practical in your life. Because the thing about spirituality, I feel like it can get very ungrounded pretty quickly, and it can also seem complicated. And really, it's not meant to be like that, in my belief. It really is meant to be accessible, simplistic, easy, and the spirit world and our guides and our higher selves know that we live in a very busy time on this planet with a lot of distractions, responsibilities, and things that we are obligated to do. And so, my goodness, how could we possibly fit in doing a spiritual practice if we had to do something that was so difficult? Do you see what I'm saying? So, those two things don't match. And that's why all the work that I offer with my students or my private clients and all of you on my channel, my community, are simplistic ways, because simplistic leads to authentic, leads to a practice that goes on throughout the rest of your life. So I have actually lived this so much myself. I'm a person who has worked on my spirituality for 30 plus years. And I started out having it be much more, there was a huge commitment involved where I meditated an hour a day, 5 times a week when I was studying to be an intuitive healer and a reader. But I realized over time, and that wasn't realistic. And also my guides over time, which is what we're going to be working on today, is building that relationship, are also saying, you don't need to make it so hard. Just know that, okay? It's not meant to be. Now, if any of you have to pop off and leave and you don't have time to watch, this will be on my channel. You'll be able to come back to it at any time. Also, to let you know, just this week uploaded a meditation, which is wonderful, on connecting and meeting your spirit guide, or one of them. So you can watch that at any time. That's meant to be up. You can download that onto your phone or your computer so you have it at any time. So let's get into this. I also want you to feel that you can ask me questions. or talk about your experiences in the comments. And I'm still getting used to doing the lives here on YouTube. So bear with me if I don't see your comment right away, but we'll get right into it. Okay. So let's get started. Of course, I have a presentation because that's how I roll. So let's go ahead and get this started, which I'm super excited about. So I hope you guys can see this pretty clearly. But really, what we're looking at today, again, the focus of today is on how to communicate with your spirit guides in 10 minutes a day, sometimes less, sometimes it's 5 minutes. So, this is really a mini workshop, knowing you can come back to this at any time because it will be living on my channel. And where it will be is under the category of lives. So, everything's categorized on this channel and organized for you to come back, and because it's an educational and a transformational and a spiritual space for your own growth, it's like a library for you as well, a free library. Okay, so that's the focus of today. Super excited. Okay, so here's what we're going to be covering in the workshop. We're going to be looking at really what spirit guides are, essentially, and what they are not. And we're going to talk about some of the many different spirit guides that we can have. Although I don't even think I listed all the ones that we can possibly have on here, but we can, if you have questions about that, we can talk about that. I also want to talk to you about how your guides typically communicate with you. So that's, I think, going to really be an eye opener for some of you who are newer to connecting with spirit guides, because most of us dismiss the signs. And so I hope this will help you. We're also going to be talking about the biggest blocks that are really come up for most people, most of my clients, most of my students. And feel free to say some of yours in the chat as well, because everyone's going to have whatever they feel like their block is. Let's talk about it. We can work on moving past that. Then we're also going to be talking about 5 easy ways to connect for you in under 10 minutes. Of course, you can build on this practice to have it be much longer, and I encourage that. But these will be good foundational things. And also, I want to say these are tools that I've been using for over 30 years. And I wanted to bring for you the ones that I thought were most really the ones you can put in your pocket today and start working with and continue to work with. And I work very closely with my guides. I have done so for a very long time. And so I have really run the gamut of what possible struggles, challenges, things that can come up that can make you disconnect from your guides, and then the simple ways for you to connect. So let's get going. All right. So, what are spirit guides, right? Let's talk about that. This is what the fun part is. So, really, let me go a little bit back. Sometimes teaching in little bite sized parts, Maggie will know this because she was in my year-long training program. I try to distill things into a shorter version. It's a little tough for me because I'm used to teaching at length with people for a long period of time. So, if I'll hopefully draw in a little bit, not go too extensively here. But spirit guides, really, when we come into this lifetime, before we incarnate, we have a group of souls that are our spirit team, but we are also a part of that team. And so they make an agreement with us, a contract that they will work with us throughout our lives, or some of them for portions of our lives, in order to help us, guide us, help us heal, help us connect with what we're designed to be doing in this lifetime. Of course, there's always free will. And then it also really to be able to help us on a daily level. So there's many ways that they help us. Okay. Now, how do they communicate with us? We're definitely going to be talking about that. But really what they do is, because we have free will, as in when we come into this lifetime, is they try to provide us little nudges or inner knowing or synchronicities in order to show up to remind us of this reality that we are spiritual beings on this earth, here to have a human experience, to learn, to grow, develop, and manifest. So that's really the simplistic way of saying, how are our guides with us? Okay. How do they show up for us? Who are they? Why are they here? One thing I want to say is that your guides in no way control your life. They are more of a cohort or a team that work with you. And so when you connect with them, you want to connect with them like a team member because you're on the team with them. So everyone's trying to help you get what you want. And if you only knew how much love they have for you would definitely probably shift your perspective about sometimes how hard you are in yourself because they give you an incredible reflection of the magnificence of who you are as a spiritual being. That's very important. So they don't control you whatsoever. You are in communion with them and a connection with them in order to be able to grow, to evolve, and to develop and to support you. Now, I want to talk a little bit about why we don't naturally just connect or know about spirit guides. And I'm sure most of you have probably figured this out for yourselves. So, in our culture, which is, I would say, the Western culture, we really are taught, especially over the last several hundred years, to distrust our intuition. We prefer logic, reasoning, and the scientific approach to life. So over time, I believe our ancestors adapted to where they connected much more spiritually than they do now. And as we moved into even the industrial era, we disconnected from our guides or even our intuition or what that even means. So we started to distrust our intuition. We discounted the signs that we get, the little coincidences. We started to seek answers and validation outside of ourselves. And also, we were really never taught to understand the natural flow of our intuition. And so that's what right now I believe on the planet we are realigning with. We're coming back into coherence with ourselves as spiritual beings. That's the age of Aquarius. That's what we are all growing through right now. All of you who are much more on your spiritual path or interested or wanting to grow, develop, and to be able to access your intuition and connect with the spirit world, you're turning that infrastructure of being in your intellect much more into the spiritual. So I want to just the way I like to illustrate it is by imagining your energy field just opening up. And that is one of the best things that our guides always say to us is just imagine your energy field, your aura is open and that it's vibrant and it's connected and you're not alone, shut down and closed. You want to think about being very open. Okay. So most of us were never taught to trust our intuition, to listen and to understand the signs. So part of the most of the work I do, especially on this channel, and all in through the classes I teach and the sessions I do is I help you to discover your own unique way of communicating with your intuition and your higher self. And so that's what your guides are here to help you with as well. Now, let's talk about all the different spirit guides. And I haven't even added all of them in here because we could go into much more detail and nuance. We'll save that for another live stream. If you guys like go, okay, I want to learn about goddesses, I want to learn about deities, I want to learn about nature spirits, I want to learn about archangels, please put it in the comments. I love doing these types of courses or these minis to come up for an hour and talk to you guys about these topics. I love doing it. So put it into the comments, let me know and I'll definitely plan that out. All right, so let's talk about some of the guides. So, when I mentioned to you in the beginning that we have these guides that connect with us, right? And we make this agreement with, we all come down together. We're going to do this thing. So, these are more your guardian guides. And to be honest with you, I teach a whole class about just that, where I believe you come in with about five guides, give or take. Different teachers have different perspectives on that, and that is fine. This is what resonates for me. This is my truth and my education and what I've experienced. But you come in with five guides, and these are your guardian guides. These are the guides that will be with you for your entire life. So you have some, I call them you know, ride or dies. Those guides are the ones that are always going to be with you, and they serve in different capacities, different roles. Then you have your ancestors, right? The ancestors. And I definitely will be doing some education about this in the future. In fact, I'll probably be doing another live stream with one of my dear friends who's a mentor and a teacher and a root worker who works a lot with ancestors as well. But ancestors are not just the family you have that are in the spirit world at who you know, say, for example, parents, grandparents. These are ancestors who go back really far in your lineage. They can go back 5 generations, 7 generations, 10 generations. And those guides are the really guides that honestly provides so much support, so much encouragement, so much help, and so much to help you with your manifestations. So, we're going to be talking more about that too at some point. Then we have teacher guides. Sometimes we have guides that really serve a role for us for a time where we might work with them for, say, a year, maybe a few years, even months at a time. And they're helping you with usually a specific area of your life. And often people who work with deities have these type of guide relationships with it where they're serving in a capacity. For example, one of my main teacher guides is Hecate. I also work with Isis and Mary Magdalene and some of these other goddesses that I work with and probably will end up working with for a longer period of time. But those are more teacher guides. Then we also have healer guides, right? Who knew? Right? You have all these incredible guides you can work with. So the healer guides really come in and you can actually, as you get more comfortable with working with guides, you can ask your own spirit guides to send you a healing guide. All the classes I teach on healing and reading, you're always connected with one of your healer guides in order to do healing work, not just on others, but on yourself. And they are so eager to help. I will let you know. So, can you imagine how much of an improvement things can move towards for you as you work with these different guides that can provide so much clarity in your life? They also have gatekeeper guides, and they can really help. We have got as a medium, we have gatekeeper guides that help us when we're working with the spirit world. They serve as like the concierge and also the maitre d' to manage the spirit world when you're connecting with them. Then we also have elemental spirits, nature spirits. That's in another. I have done a class on that as well, and that really comes from the environment that you live in. You have guides all around you, nature spirits, elemental spirits who work with the land that you live on and the land around you, and also the ones that you come into contact with. And it's very interesting once you start opening up your intuition and trusting yourself, how many elemental guides that you'll find when you go out into nature or spend quiet time alone in a park near your home. Beautiful different interactions that can occur. Okay, let's talk about, I'm going to raise this up, how spirit guides communicate with us. Okay, there's so many ways. So, just because some of the font on this is a tiny bit small. So, let's look at this. So, I want you guys, if you have had, and I know many of you have had interactions with your guides, and I want you to put in the chat, if you would be so kind, the ways they communicate with you, because I think we can learn from each other. And so, some of the ways, and these are just some of them, that spirit guides can communicate with us. First of all, they work with the language of energy and symbolism. So, they are going to work with the way you communicate as a person and the way you would connect. That's the one thing I want to let you know. So, this can be in the form of your psychic senses, your intuitive senses, also known as your clairs. So that's when you sometimes get a gut feeling or just this flash of knowing. And then Maggie says she asks for signs. Is that wonderful? And we're going to talk about that, connecting with them, asking them for signs. We need those things. Okay. So as Maggie mentioned, excuse me, repeating numbers, signs, symbols, or even animals, right? And then, hi, Skylar. When I ask myself a question, sometimes I hear an answer back. That is exactly it. So you're learning to be open. So then have clear audience so you can hear messages sometimes. I love that. Also, have you ever had this happen before where you've been having a difficult time with something or asking for a sign or guidance, and then you turn on the radio, and as soon as you turn that on, this exact message you're needing to hear comes on the radio? This is just the way that spirit interacts with us. There's so many ways, so many nuances, or you turn on the television exactly at certain moment, and then you get I love that. And then you get immediately like something comes on the screen that serves a massive purpose. One of the funniest ones I had, I'll tell you really quickly, was a guide I was working with, King Paimon, actually. And I'll say thank you to him. So I was just starting to work with him as a guide, which we can talk more about later. And I said to him, I'm not sure, you're new to me. Can you send me a sign? And then what popped into my head was a watermelon. And I said, "Okay, a watermelon. All right, we'll go with that. Can you send me a watermelon, a symbol of a watermelon?" I think about 24, 48 hours went by, and I went into meditation. I put on my headphones and screaming into my headphones was a song that's not even on a playlist I have because I don't listen to punk rock, but it's a punk rock song that was screaming in my ear. "You asked me for a watermelon and I gave it to you." I kid you not. That is one of the best ones I've ever had. This song still to this day, I have no idea how that popped up on my playlist. I was like, "Are you kidding?" But I want to mention one other caveat, me going into I know, me advancing a little bit ahead of myself, not uncommon for me to keep going with the depth of relationships with spirits. It's my favorite topic, one of my favorite topics to talk about, and I'll definitely get to all of your chats. I love you guys. Thank you. So, it was so funny because this particular guide, if you know about him, he is known for having very loud communications. Like when he comes to different practitioners, he comes in very loud. So it just all kind of connected. It was so cute. Let me go to your comments and then we'll go in. I love these signs. I love these interactions. This is just your guides love this too. Joy said, I have gut feelings. Song lyrics often speak to me or I get answers when I ask questions. That is so beautiful. See, then Joy and everyone, you're really entering into your relationship with your guides. You're having a relationship. It's not a one-sided, it's a give and take. It's not a one-sided relationship. It's a connection. It is so much more than we even can imagine. And sometimes through the thickness of being in the physical world, it is challenging. And so we do need signs, and your guides are happy to send you signs all the time. And sometimes I even forget to ask them for signs when I'm having a tough time because we try to tough it out. We do that. We try to tough it out. And so I love that. Okay, so some of you guys have dreams that where your guides connect with you. I haven't had as much of that happen to me, and I think it's because I'm a spirit worker and I'm with them all the time. So at night when I sleep, I don't go in the astrals and have a lot of different experiences typically. But a lot of my students do, a lot of my clients do. They have messages, and it's certainly we're not even talking about loved ones in the spirit world, but a lot of people have really their loved ones come to them in from the spirit world when they're in their dream space. So that's another thing just to mention. Also, I want to say one of the big things, and we're going to be talking about this, and actually you guys will have to let me know because I think I'm going to make a video on showing you my spiritual practice of how I communicate with my guides through doing tarot and oracle card pulls and then with my pendulum. I'm going to show my practice and really talk about the steps and sort of show you how it can work on drilling down, which I think is kind of fun and helpful. Even if you're already doing this, it's helpful to get that reinforcement of something, of that practice. So we'll be working on that. So they will definitely show up for you with through your tarot cards, pendulum, oracle card pulls, and they will show up with signs, signals, and different connections. I had that happen so many times, and it's just so magical. And then you want to be sure to write those down. The other thing that I mentioned here was that the inner voice or the thoughts, which is exactly what we heard from Skylar when she said, I ask a question, I get an answer back. That's really what it's like. And again, if you're newer to this, or if you sometimes feel like I'm not getting any information, please be patient and also understand that you are unique in your own design as a spirit communicator. And so you're learning how to connect, and that's a process and it takes time and patience. So please be kind to yourself and let it be a gentle process of discovery and it's not something that you wanna put force on. And even then, sometimes when you're not in communication with them or you don't hear from them, by the time you go around to hearing from them, it's so sweet and so intimate, and it all makes sense that it profoundly it all illustrates that they are always with you, and sometimes they give you spaciousness so that you can build your own strength, and then they come back. So they're never gone, but there's always a reason if you do not feel them right away because you are building some type of a skill set. That's what I've learned over time, honestly. That still happens to me today, 30 years later. Okay, let's move on, everybody. How exciting. All right. So, again, here are some of the biggest blocks. And again, I love pulling back the curtain, talking about these things in this way so that you can remember, oh, yeah, Carrie mentioned that. I was trying that, and then I thought that, and then I got that answer, and that's what she said. It's sort of like it it solidifies your process. Okay, great. I'm so happy, Sheree. We'll be here, and I'm definitely here. Oh, okay, let me get I'll be driving in my car, and I say something out loud, and another energy will come in and speak through me. I believe a guide 100%. 100%. I love that gives me the chills when you said that. I love that. I love that so much. Okay. So let's talk about some of our challenges. Okay. And oh, I'm trying not to read Sheree. Sheree's one of my clients. I was like, hang on, someone's coming in. Just a second. I feel someone coming in. I think it's actually that grandmother of yours, Sheree, that one of your primary guides, grandmother of yours. We will come back to her. Let her know. She's very chatty. All right. I digress. The life of a medium. Okay. So some of the biggest blocks to receiving messages, and all of you can identify with this, correct? So we have overthinking, overanalyzing. That is probably along with the next one are the most prominent ones for most of that of us. Okay. And what that so I want to say as soon as I start working with it is funny, sure. I know. Some of these grandmothers, I will tell you, when they come through, they kind of I respect them. I'm like, okay, we will get the message out. Let me do the thing I'm doing, and I'll be with you in a second. So, yeah, that's definitely on your mom's side, Sheree, just to say. Pardon me, guys. Okay, so overanalyzing everything. That means you second guess. Was that something I saw? Who was that? What was that about? And so that is really one of the biggest hindrances I believe that we have is that we literally cut off the communication because of our mind. And then also the next one would be self-doubt. And that is where we are really second guessing ourselves. So there's analyzing, and I'm not sure if that's it. And then the second one is, oh, I must have made that up. That must have been my imagination, things like that. So if you know that ahead of time, please do something really simple. Write a post-it note and put a post-it note somewhere where you are regularly, whether it be on your computer or your bulletin board or on your fridge or on your phone on a note. I want you to write a validating affirmation which says, I trust my inner guidance. I trust my intuitive impressions. I trust the messages from my guides. Something like that, where you're speaking in the positive tense about your relationship with your guides, about your intuition, about the things that you are experiencing. It's so important to validate our spirit communication because not only are we validating our guides, we're validating our own soul, our higher self, which is fundamentally the most important relationship we have is with our higher self. So, a busy mind is something, and this is where I'm going to come in to challenge all of you just a little bit because so many people, and I've fallen into this trap, say, I don't have time to meditate. And also it's so hard for me to meditate. I can't meditate. I have ADD. I can't meditate. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Most people that are psychic have ADD. And I am not doing this is just my theory and working so much with students that are developing that I do really believe that one of the things connected with being able when you have ADD is that you're picking up on a lot of things and you're getting pulled in a lot of places. And so what's happening is just like when Sheree's grandmother is coming into me on my right side, I can go right into it. Think about that. If you're very shut down and so focused on what you're doing and you don't you listen to nothing and you just stay in it, you're not connecting with the energy of spirit. Think about it. So that is one of the challenges is that you also have an untrained mind, so you're allowing all these distractions to pull on you, combine both with spirit communication and your mind. What I want to challenge you to is if you are someone who has a hard time meditating, I want you to start simplistically by listening to quiet meditative music, even if you're doing it when you're washing the dishes or working. Over time, what will happen is you will start to adjust into a deeper theta wave brain state, which will help you be more receptive to the messages from spirit. So start with that. I would also recommend I upload meditations here at least a couple times a month, sometimes once a week. That's what my guides are really pushing me for, and you can use that and have that be on and even put your headphones on when you're walking. Because what you're doing is you're training your mind and your energy to shift into that frequency, which is the place where we have spirit communication. The mind and the chatter has its own frequency. And so we're just changing the channel. We're just shifting. Okay. The other thing I will say is we have a lack of trust because we haven't built a relationship with a guide and we don't necessarily even understand what they feel like, what they sound like, what they provide us with, what the relationship is about. So we don't have anything to base it on and we don't trust it. And just like with any relationship, it takes time to trust. So again, look at this in a way that you're going to be doing it. Again, this whole mini course is basically 10 minutes a day. And so that's what I would just lean into. And whether that be 4 times a week, 5 times a week, every day, I'd love for you, if you're doing this with me, to do it at least 4 times a week. Okay. And even if you're already a practitioner, I would say let's do it together anyway, at least for, say, the next couple of weeks as we're moving into this time in order to just understand having a regular practice is going to enrich your life so much. Okay. And you're building that trust. The other thing is expectations. So that's a very large one, especially when you start developing your psychic abilities. What happens is that we often get into a little bit of a rut by saying, I'm not really seeing anything. Oh, I'm not really hearing anything. Or I'm not really able to sense anything. None of these things are happening for me. And that's part of it. But also, we're expecting the communication from our guides to come in a certain way. And as you're going forth to look for signs, understand that even the way the signs show up is going to be for your highest good, but it's maybe going to be something different than you thought. So releasing expectations and allowing is going to be really the best approach to take. Again, what we're really trying to do is, again, open up our energy field. And if you think about expectations in general, they tend to close our energy field. They shut us down. Okay. The other thing is some people have that deeper belief is that they're not worthy of the connection. And what that would mean is that, this you may not logically think this, but you might feel it, or it might be a deeper belief within you. And it's not so much that you think you're not worthy of a connection with the divine or your guides. It's more that you don't feel worthy in general. And because you don't feel worthy in general, it shuts your energy field down. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with. It's something I have struggled with and still sometimes have to work on different layers of it. And what I would challenge you to do is if this is one of the things that you can identify with, ask your guides to help you with this. Ask your guides to help you feel worthy, loved, and unconditional love. And again, if you're thinking about your energy field being open, that's one of the best ways to be able to relate, to connect with your guides on a consistent basis. And then, of course, one of the ones we already spoke about is this cultural conditioning. And that is that it's basically saying, this isn't real. I'm making it up. This is just my imagination. That is one of the primary ones, especially when people start seeing in clairvoyantly. Let's say their guide gives them an image of an elephant. That's been coming up a lot this week, by the way, the elephant, which I think is something I'll check in with later. Think of the symbol of the elephant is can say a lot for many of us. And what we do is we then stretch it and say, I have an active imagination. That must be it. Or I must be just making up whatever I'm seeing. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's go and think about yourself and think about the times when you have maybe you saw something out of the corner of your eye, or you heard something, or you sensed something, or maybe even you got a vision of something and then it happened. I want you to think about then how your mind tried to make sense of it. And that's a very interesting conversation, which we can have in depth at another time. But our minds, a lot of my students, when they first start working with me and my clients, have a love-hate relationship with their mind, and they struggle with it. And on one hand, we the mind makes decision for us, guides us, makes things logical, gives things a place and time, a flow, a structure, right? But here's the thing, and then if you're trying to build your intuition, some of my students have said, "Oh gosh, it's my mind again. It's my ego again. Oh, I just can't. It keeps getting in the way." And here's what I want to say. Any type of conflict that you have within yourself that's rubbing up against each other, you want to distill it down to have harmony. So as you're starting to work with the spirit world and connect with your intuition and your guides, you want to think about softening the I will call it conflict or the friction between your intuitive self and your critical mind. And yes, our mind can be very critical sometimes, and it can be judgmental, and it can be fear-based, but we want to understand that it has developed over your lifetime to protect you and to help you understand things and to try to make sense of your life. And unfortunately, because we don't understand that, often it comes through and ends up limiting us, judging us, and trying to navigate and take over the show. We don't really know how to contend with it. So I want you to think of your mind as a helpful tool and a part of your team, but that it needs to be able to have a place on the bench. It doesn't need to be thrown out. It just needs to be a part of the team. So what I say to my critical thinking mind, and I tell my clients and my students this, is just say, okay, when I'm doing my meditation or I'm talking to my guides or I'm doing my spirit work, I want you to just have a seat and relax and know that everything is going to be okay. And we can talk about it after the session is over, after I'm done meditating or connecting with my guides, and know that everything is safe. Now, that's in the in between where there's a lot of triggers and things that repeat themselves over and over, patterns. That's where we work on shadow work. And we are going to be talking more about that also here on my channel. So that we'll be definitely addressing shadow work. So stay tuned for that. I'm starting to work on that now because there's healing involved. But for the interim, while you're developing your intuition and talking to your guides, you want to just ask your critical thinking mind, just sit on the bench and relax while you are doing this and to keep yourself very open. It creates more harmony in general. And I also say that a lot of our families, especially if you come a very religious family, or if you come from a heavily scientific family, there will definitely be, and I can attest to the latter, my family. I grew up not so much with my parents, but in the community I grew up was very much an academic community. And so they definitely never said it out loud, but they would think that people that even do what I do for a living it was a fringe job and not really valid and a nice little thing that I did on the side. They don't see the importance of it because they value logic. And that's just going to be the way it is. And so if you find yourself in any of those categories, either with your family or loved ones or the people around you did not believe in it at all, or you grew up in much more of an intellectual academic environment, those things can all affect you when it comes to you stepping into your intuition. So just keep those things in mind as you go on your journey. All right. So we're going to get right into it right now. Now, some of you might be in the middle of something. You might have kids around you. You might have things to do. But I wanted to do a little just check in and meditation with all of you. And this is just going to be 5-10 minutes. And it's mainly because I want you guys to feel the connection with your guides. That's where we're going to start. After that, we're then going to move into the tips that I'm going to recommend for you if you want to build this practice 10 minutes a day. So, what I would like you to do, if you're able, if not, come back to this. We are going to be connecting in, getting grounded, and then asking our guides to come in close to us. And if you're also doing chores or what have you, you can do this with us. You can do it with your eyes open. And just, if you're doing that, I want you just to notice what you experience. So during this meditation, the thing I want you to just pay attention to is just to relax and to let go of expectations. But I want you to notice what you pick up on. And then I'm going to ask you when we're done what you experienced in the chat. So that would look like when we go through our clear sentience. Do you feel anything? Okay. Do you get it? Are you getting the chills? Do you get a warm feeling, tingles? Do you feel a pressure, a presence? Do you feel a flutter, a brush? Do you feel something in your physical body? Maybe a heartwarming sensation moving through your chest? Do you feel something on your right side, your left side? See what I mean? Or then we're going to move into, do you get a visual clairvoyantly? Do you see an image connected with the guide? Are you getting a face? Are you getting a symbol, an image? Maybe you see a flash of light. You also, like Skylar was saying, and also Sheree was saying, do you see something? I mean, excuse me, go back. Do you hear something clairaudiently? Do you hear a voice? Do you hear a name? Do you hear it's me? Any of those things. You might get a combination of both as well. And then the final one is, do you just get a knowing about it? Do you just know? They feel familiar, just know. And many of you have probably already connected with some of your guides before, but just see what they bring you today when we're doing this. Okay. Let me take a quick sip of coffee. And I'd say if you have water or anything you're drinking, take a quick sip. Okay. So let's have some fun because our spirit guides like us to have fun. That's a very important thing for them. All right. Let me just get off my screen. Okay, everybody. And if you have, I'll be closing my eyes, of course, for this part of the presentation. And if you need to go out, come back, we'll be continuing probably about 7 minutes or so. Something. Okay, so we're going to start with, first of all, just dropping in and starting with our breath. We want to exhale and just release anything that is on your mind or heart at this moment. Just release it with that breath. And begin to notice the base of your spine, the chair or couch, or wherever you are sitting, or even where you're standing. Just feel the weight of that from the base of your spine and your hip area. And then take a nice deep breath in for the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1 second. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, let's breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1. Exhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your breath is a very powerful alchemist. Changes you and shifts you with its intention into the space with spirit very easily. And now I just want you to imagine, whether you see it or not, it does not matter, that there's a very strong root from a very strong tree beginning to grow from the base of your spine. It widens to be the width of your hips. And then it begins to go down through the layers of the earth. You can just feel it starting to ground you, center you, connect you, awaken you. And it travels down to the very core of the earth, where it then connects and attaches to that molten center. And with that, your energy field, your aura, begins to smooth itself out around your physical body. You don't have to see it. You can just set the intention and the awareness. And your aura is now, with this intention, just smoothing out around the front of your body, the right side, your back, your left side. And it does go underneath your feet as well, helping you feel centered, present in this moment, and grounded. And then also the top of your head begins to clear. And you can feel a beautiful, warm, golden light like a sun just above your head. I want you just to bring that into your physical body and into your auric field, just with your intention. No need to force it. Just bring it right down. And as it does this, it clears away any heaviness, any distrust, any negative thoughts or feelings, anything you've been holding on to this week. It moves through your entire body, through your organs, your muscles, your bones, your blood, centering you and calming you. And this golden light can just be reset at any time if you feel you need to be refreshed. This also goes down through your grounding cord. Beautiful. Okay. So, where we place our attention when we're doing these exercises is really up to you. Wherever it feels the most natural, it can either be your heart space or just behind your eyes at your third eye, or a combination of those things. But knowing your awareness and your attention is in those spaces, just with your intention. And with your intention, where your intention goes, energy flows. You are completely in control, and you can do things just by setting your desire through intention. So, what we're going to do now, very simply, is all of these exercises are meant to be simple. We're going to ask our guide or guides. There may be one, there may be a few, and that is okay. Whatever comes forth is perfect. But what we're going to ask is our primary guide to come in a little closer to us. And when we ask them to come close, we're now going to ask them to come in very close, like giving us a spirit hug. So ask them to come in very close, nearby you. Just sit with this for a moment and observe how you feel. And breathe. Okay. Now we're going to ask them to pull their energy back and away from us and to stand back behind us about 10 feet. And breathe. Very good. All right, let's do that one more time. Let's bring them in nice and close. Very close again, coming in very close. Just observe how this experience comes to you in this moment. All right, let's take it a step further. I'm being directed to do this. So I want you to ask that guide or guides to come and stand in front of you, just a few feet in front of you. And I want them to connect with you consciously in the way that best serves you and to let their presence be known. This might be visual, this might be through feeling, hearing, or knowing. Ask them to connect with you. And let's ask them one question. Let's ask them what you need to know today for your highest good. Okay. Allow whatever impressions came to you, however they arrived, even if it was just a sensation, a change in the atmosphere around you, could have been an image, a message, a visual imprint. Any of those things are valid. So we want to thank our guides for showing up for us today. And then just ask them to go back to their normal place where they are in your energy, close by, but giving you a little room. You want to thank them. And as our final motion within this, we're going to again go back to our grounding cord and just feel, how does your grounding cord feel? If you ever need to go back and you've already grounded yourself in the morning, you can just release the grounding cord you have and start with a new one. It's a way of resetting the energy. Breathe just by your intention. You don't have to see it. And then also filling yourself up with a golden sun. It's just a way of being able to reconnect with your own energy and refresh it. Okay. And then when you guys are ready to slowly come back, take your time coming back into the space and let me know in the comments if you received anything. And I want to let you know whatever you experienced was perfect for you. And please be kind to yourself and let me know in the comments if you wanted to share anything, please. My guide gave me a message about clearing out my heart chakra, so there's that. I also saw a funny guide come forth, and I was like, I don't know if I know you. Who are you, sir? This little guy came up and was like going, hey, but that's not uncommon for me since I work with them daily. So I was like, are you someone new to me or someone new to someone else? Hello, sir. Could have been someone's guide. That was funny. Now, the other thing, they laughed at me saying, I know them. Of course. Okay, let's read these. Your voice is, I know, Joy, and that's okay. Listen, you can, I tried to. No, yeah. And you know what, Joy? It's okay. One of the things about me, and it's because I'm a healer, that when I'm doing these meditations, that I'm also imbuing it with healing energy, if that makes sense. Okay, let's read what Sheree said too. And also, Joy, all those, just so you know, all of those meditations are in cataloged here on my channel, so you can come back to them. So Sheree said, "They laughed at me saying, 'I know them.'" I love that. Okay. Yeah, maybe mine. Yeah, they were very smiling. Great. And then Maggie said, "I just felt so much love and encouragement from him." I love that. Linda said, "I was told I need to clear out my heart chakra too. Do some movement, clear out my energy." Linda, you and I are on the same page then on that. They told you to be calm today. I have a busy mind. Yeah. Yeah. And goodness sakes, the one thing I'd like to talk about is I see purple in my mind's eye going in and out when I close my eyes. Yes, you're definitely activating that clairvoyance, that third chakra for sure, Sheree. Don't feel bad, Joy. She's put me to sleep plenty of times. Yeah, and my meditations are really designed for healing, but understand that even if it when I'm doing the meditation, that that's creating the connection. So it may not happen during when I'm giving you the meditation, but it could happen when you're doing it on your own or things like that. Okay, Elizabeth said, "I saw a very loving guide come forward. A light pink energy. Isn't that beautiful? The guidance was just to focus on taking care of myself today in little ways. Self-care, eating well. I love that so much. That's wonderful." Skylar said, "I felt love immediately, but then we're like, we are giving you love, but you need to meditate more for class today." Lady, Skylar's in my Akashic Records certification course. And I was just thinking that today. I was like, the first thing I'm going to ask tomorrow morning in class is, "Oh, how do we do with our homework?" So you better make it up. Just saying. Just kidding. So wonderful. I love it. Hi, Milan and Maloney. Good to see you. I think my guide has a floral smell. I didn't get any messages. You know what? I love that for you so much, Maloney. That is perfect because you are working with it's called Claire Aliens. And I actually teach this. So I have a membership that's a spiritual development membership called Goddess Rising. And I have a class in there, which there's mini classes in there. You go at your own pace on spirit communication. And one of them is absolutely clear aliens. So understand that is so strong. When you get that, you'll develop all those things. And messages don't sometimes messages come in the form of a feeling. It's not always words, guidance, images. It's sometimes that an impression of you could feel they wanted me to relax. Do you know? Okay, which? Hello. I saw red swirls, roses, and was told to feel the love wrapped all around me. Isn't that wonderful? How beautiful. And roses are a very strong spiritual symbol. 100%. I That's a whole nother class with the divine feminine when it comes to working with the goddess energy of roses. Very strong. Okay. Elizabeth. And also when I recognized them, I could feel how close and loving they were all the time, whether or not I consciously noticed regularly throughout the day. Is that wonderful? How wonderful. That's fantastic. So keep feeling free to share. I'm going to move into now the tips that we talked about when it comes to your 10 minutes a day, because the promise for this workshop, this class was to give you tips on ways you can do this. And some of you might already do this. So let's continue forward. We'll keep talking about it. Okay. And stay tuned because at the very end of this, I'm definitely going to pull a few cards for a message for us for today. Okay. Here we go. All right. So thank you. We did our meditation. So these are all 5 easy practices that you can do to reinforce that relationship. And so feel free to jot them down. You might already do some of these. And if you've done some but haven't done others, try these out. Okay. Let's see. By the way, I'm Alicia, the different name on here. Oh, hello, hello. Okay, great. It's good to see you. I know everybody has a different name. It's good to meet you. I know. I'm always glad when people give me their name because I usually meet some people at some point, but it's so good to meet you. I'm happy to see you. Thank you for introducing yourself. Okay, so let's talk about automatic writing, which I know a lot of you already probably do, but one of my favorite practices is automatic writing. So, this is the concept, if you're new to this, where you set up a practice. First of all, I want you to do a few things. If you're new to automatic writing, what I would like you to think about doing is just getting a nice journal that you really like, that you feel like you could just connect with the energy of it. These tools are very important for our practice. Then I want you to get a pen that feels really good. Yes, exactly. I love that. Okay, good. Okay, wonderful. The goddess clan. Fantastic. I know. See how I am with I'm trying to sort everyone's name through? See, it's like I have to get that straight with everybody. Who is who on here? Thank you. Let's talk about it. So we want to get a pen that feels really good. I'm very fussy about stuff like this. And the reason is because we don't want any friction to one of our spiritual practices. So if you have something that in some way bugs you or is unreliable or doesn't feel good to you, you're not going to be as likely to do it. So we're trying to bypass that and be able to go to practices that really work for us. So getting a journal that we really like, getting a pen we really like, or a couple pens. And the next thing we want to do is we want to set aside a couple of times a week when our intention is that we're going to connect with our guides in this instance. And so we're going to ask whoever lives with us to not disturb us for at least a half an hour. And then we want to set the stage. So either you're in a cozy place where you're be able to write, or you are in wherever this place is. You want it to be somewhere that really is suitable for you to have quiet time. Maybe it's outside. I like to write when I'm out on my porch during when the weather allows. I love going out there and doing it on my back porch, and because I can connect with nature as well. So then what you want to do is you want to say to your guides, please bring me a message of what I need to know today, and you can channel through me. So this is all part of channeling. And then I want you to just start moving your hand with the pen. I don't want you to worry about what you're writing. I don't want you to think about, am I making this up? I don't want you to think nothing's happening. This doesn't make sense. You're just allowing that critical mind to sit right next to you on the bench and take a little break. And that really what you're doing is you are promoting this sense of ease, flow, and open channel. And from that practice, you will start getting messages. You'll start channeling their current of energy, your guides, in through your energy field. And this is one of the best ways. Even if you only have 10 minutes a day, you'll get used to it and you'll start to understand how they feel, how they work with you. And because really the relationship with our guides is very enmeshed. And so, as someone who's worked with their guides for over 30 years, I don't always know. So, one of my primary guides' name is Gideon. And I don't always say, oh, here's Gideon. This is who he is. This is how he shows up. What I get is a fusion of information, feeling, and his channeled information. It just comes through me. And so, because I've allowed him into my world intimately, it just starts to flow. So I want you to think about that with automatic writing, just allowing it to flow. Now, you can also change what your question is. You want to keep it open ended and you can write out like 10 questions. What do I need to know about my work? What do I need to know about my spiritual practice? What do I need to know about this relationship? What do I need to know about improving such and such? What do I need to know about clearing my chakras? Things like that. So you want to work with them. This creates an an integration of you and your guides. It's one of the strongest practices that you can do. And remember, 10 minutes a day. That's the design. And it will start getting clearer and faster and more concise. Another caveat to automatic writing, this is actually my favorite one because I channel and I bring through their energy verbally. I actually use my phone and I use the recording app and I record messages. So I, for example, will say, oh, well, if I'm working with Hecate or if I'm working with one of the deities I work with, or my guides or one of my loved ones in the spirit world, I'll say, can you give me a message? And then I will literally let them speak through me. So when you guys see me like channeling Hecate here, because I work with her very closely, Usually what happens with me with her, she always comes in on my left side and then she starts just infusing and she telepaths me and I just work it through that way. So you can do this with any of your guides. What do I need to know today? What does the collective need to know today? What does my client need to know today? And then it just comes through. So try that too within your voice. It works very well. All right. So one of my favorites, who doesn't love the daily card pull? Who's with me on this one? Okay. Also, I want to let you know just a little bit of an announcement. I am going to be look for this announcement. I'm going to be teaching a class on becoming it's a certification on becoming an intuitive tarot reader. So if you want to do this either for yourself or you want to start reading for others, even professionally, I'm so excited about this class. It's coming up. And if you need to find out more information, you can always just join my email list if you're watching this later. And I always put all the links on my page. Very easy to find. Okay. Okay, so Sheree says, "Oh my God, this is how it happens for me. I can feel them come from the left or the right of me, and they channel through me vocally." I'm really excited about that. That's coming next. I'm going to announce that in the next week or two, and I think it's probably going to start a little bit later, probably in May. I think we're going to start it in May. I'm so excited about that class. Okay, that's a lovely thing. So let's talk about daily card pulls. Now, you do not have to read tarot, okay, in order to do this. Please understand that. Don't let that be a hindrance. But what I would like you to do, if you don't already do it, most of you do, but if you don't, I want you to feel into what kind of deck you would like to use and check out. There's a lot of reviews on YouTube of different decks, so you can get plenty of information. I'm going to start doing deck reviews too. I have to. So what I want to say is, for example, I'll show you like the one I have. This is a very good starter oracle deck. Let me just change settings really quick. As an example, any of the Denise Lynn, these are very image friendly. The messages are simple. This really can work with your intuition, but also your guides. So this is a really good visual one. So what you want to do, this is just the simplicity, is you want to, first of all, I won't go too much into this now, but you want to make sure you go through the process of cleansing your deck when you first get it. And then you want to imbue it or to set an intention for the deck. You can interview it, things like that. I'll talk more about that on the channel. If you guys are interested in that, let me know either in the comments here, or if you want, you can also put them on the community section and mention it. So what you want to do, and that's very symbolic for me, for example, seeing the bear, that's symbolic for me right there. Hello. So anyway, so what you want to do, which is why I love when you work with animal guides. So what you want to do when you do your practice is you want to set your attention. Okay, my guides, this is the deck I feel drawn to today. And can you send me a message? What do I need to know today? Same thing. And then you want to spend time shuffling it. Now, when you're shuffling, one thing I want to say, a little extra tip, I really want you to start understanding that your hands and your energy are also psychic abilities, and your intuition flows through them as well as your guide's energy. And you're going to, when you shuffle them, asking your question, you then want to say, what, tell me what I need to know and let me know what the card is, right? So you're going to feel a sense of, you're going to feel a pull at some point of, okay, stop. And then you're going to look at these cards in your hand and you're going to feel gravitated towards one or the other. You also might hear, open them up a little bit and then put your hand over it. Sometimes I use my non-dominant hand to scan over to feel it. Usually for me, I just see it. So I'm feeling drawn to this top card. Okay. Then you want to go in and just sit with it. Don't analyze it and look at the card itself and let it jump off the stage to you. And what do you notice? What do you feel? What do you pick up on? And that's another way that they're communicating with you. In this case, for example, I got this one, Spirit Guardian of Autumn, let go. So for me, again, like you could probably even today, if you looked at this card and asked your guides to let you know what the message is, I want you to put in the comments, what do you pick up from that? Notice all the detail of it. And remember, we're not getting this information from our minds. We're getting it from our energy, from our intuition, what we're sensing, right? All those things we've talked about. Just notice that. Other ways that your guides can communicate with you through an oracle reading or a tarot reading are through numbers. That's a big one. So I did last week, I was pulling cards for something specific, and I was looking at something to do with asking a question about numbers and an amount. And I said, okay, can you send me a message? And what do you think I should do? I started pulling cards and they told me to pull 3 cards. I pulled 3 cards. All 3 of the cards have the same number. And sometimes there'll be a double digit and you add those together to break it down into a single number. For me, the number was 7, right? As an example. Or you might see a robin or a rainbow or a unicorn or a tree, and then you can feel what that's about. So the beauty of working with cards, cartomancy, is that you're developing your intuition so greatly when you're doing it as a practice. And we're going to go deep into this as well later on the channel, which is where we're going to talk about how to work with your guides, with your intuition, and do a card practice so you can work on shadow work, healing, building your intuition, anything that comes up where you want to focus on manifesting. You can do this through a practice. It's one of my favorite things, which is why I'm so clearly obsessed with it. Okay, so this will happen. Here we go. So you pull a card. What's the intention? And then you reflect on it. And again, you're using that journal. What am I doing? This is very good for 10 minutes a day. A card a day. Here's another tip. Get yourself one of these. So let me go smaller. Get yourself one of these little card holders, and which has this slit in the top. And then you can put your card of the day or cards in here. And I can't quite demonstrate it here because it has a hole at the bottom, but as an example, and you can find these quite easily. And then you're putting it in, there's your card for the day. So you can meditate on it, reflect on it throughout the day. Again, we're talking about simple spiritual practices that help us to really bring our spirituality into our everyday life in simplistic ways. All right, let's go to the next tip. Okay, guided silent meditation. Now, obviously, when it comes to your meditation, you can have this really work in a lot of ways for you. For example, do a meditation that works for you, especially if you don't have as much time. And I have meditations here to connect. And also, you can find many on a lot of different apps as well as on YouTube throughout. There's some beautiful meditations that have been curated here. Playlists are incredible. I listen to other people's meditations, quite frankly, a lot because it's soothing and comforting to me. So the thing when you're doing that is if you don't have too much time and you don't have 20, 30 minutes to go through a whole meditation, what you can do is just make a playlist of different ones that you like. And I would recommend definitely, if you need a guided, wonderful, but also get used to listening to those beats like binaural music, which bounces your brain. It is the added touch that really helps give you that extra push or help that's going to really help you when it comes to your practice. And you want to use all the tools you possibly can think of when it comes to help you. And again, so if you're doing it just on your own visualization, your own practice, just imagine that you're in a sacred space. Could be anything, anywhere. Maybe it's a place, maybe it's somewhere in your awareness that or a memory, somewhere you've been. And the main thing is you can ask your guide to come in close to you and then to sit with you and then just see what impressions you get. And these can be very simplistic. The main thing you want to understand is that things do not need to be difficult. They do not need to be complicated. They do not need to be multi-layered. They just need to be consistent and in any way that works for you. So it can be a short amount of time, but that's how you build the musculature of your spiritual practice is by showing up as much as you can. And if there's weeks when you just have a hard time, that's okay. Oh, I know. So Heber says, love doing these in the shower when getting ready. Me too. I love that. And see, especially if you're a person who has a very like a structured work schedule, add it into your prep for work. These are the things that are so helpful. In fact, my guides have been going, get in the shower, get in the shower. like a lot of the time. It wasn't something I did regularly in the shower before, but now they are helping because it's also it's so healing to be with the element of water. Okay, so just trust what you're getting. All right, and here's the shower is the best. This is such a beautiful image. So, asking for a sign, and this is what Maggie was talking about earlier, and a few of you, but asking for a sign from your guides is fantastic. And you can also do with this with your loved ones in the spirit world, which we will talk about. And I also want to mention that we will definitely do another, probably a live or I'll definitely do a video about connecting with your loved ones in the spirit world because there's a lot of similarities there. Okay. So, what we want to do when it comes to a sign is we want to ask our guides clearly for a sign. And I'll tell you some of my funny ones besides the watermelon. And then the main thing when you ask for a sign, you have to let go. Because if your mind's trying to second guess it, or if it's trying to analyze how it's going to come in, you take away from the experience. And then also, really at the end of the day, you're moving out of the world with spirit and moving more into the intellect and the mind. So here's one of my favorite ones. And this is like so I have a particular guide that I've worked with very off and on over the last 5 years. And I live in the Pacific Northwest. And so I asked the guide to show me an image of I called him Sasquatch. I said, please show me a symbol of a Sasquatch. That's what I would like to know, just to see if that shows up. Well, after I asked for it, a few days later, I was in downtown Portland where I live, and I saw this big bumper sticker, but it wasn't on a car. It was placed, I think, on by a museum in the park across the street on, I think, literally a stand. And there's a massive head of a Sasquatch there. And here's the thing, when you get a sign, you're gonna feel the pull. You can feel as though they're pulling you towards it, getting you to see it, feel it. I've had another one where it was getting with this one guide an image of a peacock. And it was some guides I just work with for a short amount of time, depending on what I'm doing with clients and teaching classes and things. And I knew this spirit was connected with peacocks. That was one of the symbols. And so I said, please send me an image of a peacock. Goodness sakes, I got so many peacock symbols. I was going into, of all places, a light shop, right, to get a specialty light bulb for these lights, which is only found in a few shops around where I live. And I looked down and all of a sudden I saw this beautiful glass sculpture of a peacock. And it was so like out of nowhere. That's not a very common sign. And then there was another thing where I saw a beautiful card of a peacock. So just know that these are all things that are very much part of you being able to build that muscle, that knowledge, that validity, the belief in your guides, and also to just belief with your own intuition. That's at the end of the day, this is a big part of it too. And then just letting it go. Okay. Okay. So as we're coming to the end here of this incredible, and I'm very grateful, little pop-up class, I want to talk about just finding the one, maybe two that really resonate for you and that feel as though you can maintain this as a practice and try them, experiment, and then please come back here and let us know. You can attach it to this video later because it will be living in the section of the live section. What happened for you? And I'll be excited to know. I also want to encourage you, if you have any more topics you would like me to cover, please feel free to leave that also in the comments. And the main thing is regularity and consistency. So for you, you can only do it twice a week, then do it twice a week. I do recommend time blocking it, putting it into your calendar, even setting a reminder to do it. And know that however you show up is perfect. And releasing expectations is one of the greatest things that you can do when it comes to building a spiritual practice. Okay. So I want to let you know that there is a complimentary. It's part of my video series on meeting your spirit guide. If you want to take this, it's a longer video. I also have a free booklet. It's a digital booklet on connecting with your spirit guide. That's, you can find that in the link in my profile. And also, I would encourage you, if you're interested in developing your relationship with your spirituality and deepening your practice, you also want to work on shadow work, healings, being able to work on manifesting what it is you desire, and then being a supportive space, education, things like that. I have this membership, which is called Goddess Rising. It's a beautiful space. We have monthly classes. We have a supportive environment. I regularly put in mini classes that are recorded into that. So there's a library that's starting to accumulate. Plus, I do things related to healing and spiritual development. It's a wonderful membership. Very proud of it. Okay, so let's move into now. I want to thank you guys again so much for being here. I have really enjoyed this. And thank you for, again, the beginning of me getting sort of started with this in general. It was funny. I was like, oh, yeah, it is Mercury retrograde, isn't it? I'm like, it was funny. I was just laughing at myself. Yep, I'm late. I don't like that. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to look. We have a lot of energy going on right now, don't we? We have a lot of energy. I'm also going to be releasing, I want to say, a reading that will be for the I like to do one longer reading for all of the astrology signs and it'll be all time stamped. I tend to do that. But also I have my Akashic Records Goddess reading coming out. So typically I'm trying to be on a schedule where I'm releasing videos on Mondays and Fridays, and then the spontaneous video here and there. So look out for those. Make sure you are of course subscribing, but then you also sign up for notifications when those new ones drop. Okay, so we have so much energy going on, and we are moving into Aries, which is, ooh, don't you feel that Aries energy? The Aries energy was overlapping because of all the planets in Aries over the last few weeks. Holy smokes. So be mindful of intensity, be mindful of people that there's confrontation, people that want an answer to something right now, or just protect your space. Protect your grounding, protect your stability. That's very important, is what I'm hearing. Okay, what do we need to know? Speaking of guides. Yes, the Emperor. Oh my God. Okay. What is the card of Aries? Can anybody guess? The Emperor. There he is. This masculine energy. Doesn't have to be a male. Can be a person of any type. Can be an institution. Can be a job. Can be a commitment you have. Can be you. Aries energy is amazing for starting anything. It's amazing instigating energy. It's amazing creative force. It is so good for burning through things that get you stuck and stopped. But also it's not very good at waiting. It's not very good at patience. It's not very good at equanimity. It's not very good at looking at the big picture. But who's coming up? This is amazing. King of Swords. Two very strong Aries. Listen, I have a lot of Aries in my chart, and I am married to someone who has an Aries moon. So I live with this and I get it. And I love it because it's dynamic and it starts, but we need to temper it. I love, just again, we have look at the symbolism here of this King of Swords specifically, that notably we have a gentleman or this energy of wisdom, lifelong lived, guidance. That sword is pointed straight up. And also it's a double-edged sword, keeping that in mind. But notice also too, he has the falcon, and he has in this case, he has his crown there. So he's connected to spirit, but also he's relaxed in his stance. So we have to think about these elements of fire, which is masculine, Aries, and then swords, which is also masculine. So we have a double masculine coming in right now. This is really powerful energy to work with. However, they can conflict with each other if they're not in harmony. So we want to think about, okay, I know these elements are happening right now. It could be within me or around me, whether it's a relationship, a place, a thing, a commitment, or it's within me. But how can I blend these two powerful energies, air, earth, water, fire? So it's missing earth and it's missing water. So those are those two elements of the divine feminine. And that's why we're getting this on the other side. If we don't bring forth the divine feminine into that energy, which is the cups energy, the water, and also earth energy, we're going to go awry and things are going to go spin us out. So we want to think about how can we bring in the elements of water and how can we bring in the element of earth? So that could look like spending time in any element with water. That could be going outside, doing a nature walk with water. That could be having water on your altar as intentions are set. And that could also be taking a shower, a bath, things like that. Even getting in a hot tub, that's a way of calming and soothing, setting your intention. And and I feel like mostly the element has to do with water. And water, again, is relationships, right? It's also feelings. And so some of you are going to, there's a triggering of the past, Three of Swords coming up here. So this masculine energy coming forward so strongly and with such force is telling me that you could easily override your own feelings if you're not careful. Also mistrust your own feelings because your own feelings are possibly a little bit more delicate in where they are for you right now with this very powerful masculine energy. So don't let that tip you over, is what I'm hearing. So work on that balance. Okay, let me go ahead and pull our oracle card from the divine feminine since we're trying to get in balance. So this is a gorgeous deck from Megan Watterson. Just going to pull and again, ask our guides to what do we need to know today? I can't believe I blanked on those two. Sometimes that happens. What are we going to do? Okay, beautiful. So we have Saraswati. She's just a gorgeous goddess energy. So the goddess of self-knowledge, the essence of who I am flows effortlessly into everything I create. So this really talks about, again, working with the energy of spirit, our own higher selves, our guides, and the energy around us, and then allowing that flow and that current that we talked about to guide us, inspire us, and help us navigate sometimes difficult situations. So as you're going through your week this week and you're moving into wanting to have the experiences that you would like to have, being positive, centered, grounded, and clear, call upon your guides and your spirit team to help you and infiltrate into your energy and in your life so you can have more balance, right? So you're not too much in that masculine energy. So you have more calm, ease. This was so meaningful to me. And I want to thank you all so much for being here. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you to all my community who showed up. I appreciate you guys. Being on YouTube for me is such an adventure. It's a challenge and it's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful challenge. And yes, thank you. I'm so glad, Joy. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, just feel free to message me here or sign up for my email list and you can get all the updates. Good. Have a wonderful Saturday. And I will see you all next week. So look for a video from me on Monday of this week and also on Friday. All right, everybody. Take good care. We'll see you soon.